Captain Marcus Thompson stood perfectly still at his post outside the royal palace gates, his red uniform crisp and his black boots polished to mirror perfection. For 15 years he had served as one of the Queen's most trusted guards, never once breaking protocol or showing weakness. His colleagues knew him as a man of iron discipline who could stand motionless for hours, regardless of weather or circumstance. On this particular Tuesday morning, something unusual was happening in the palace courtyard. A charity wrestling event had been organized to raise funds for local children's hospitals. Professional wrestlers from around the country had gathered to showcase their skills, and the Queen herself would be attending as the guest of honor. Marcus watched through the corner of his eye as the wrestlers prepared their ring. Among them was Victor the Mountain Petrov, a massive man who stood nearly 7 feet tall and weighed over 300 pounds. Victor had been the national wrestling champion for 3 consecutive years. He's known for his incredible strength and showmanship. His booming laugh could be heard across the courtyard. As he joked with his fellow wrestlers, the contrast between the two men couldn't have been more striking. Marcus, though tall and well-built, appeared almost delicate next to Victor's enormous frame, while the wrestler wore colorful spandex and moved with theatrical flair. The royal guard maintained his stoic composure in his formal uniform. As the morning progressed, Victor noticed Marcus standing at attention. Something about the guard's unwavering stance intrigued him. He had traveled the world, faced opponents of every size and skill level, yet there was something different about this man. The way Marcus carried himself suggested a strength that went beyond physical power. During a break in the setup, Victor approached the palace gates where Marcus stood guard. "Impressive discipline," Victor said in his thick accent, nodding toward Marcus. "I have wrestled in many countries, but I have never seen anyone stand so perfectly still for so long." Marcus didn't respond immediately, as protocol demanded he remain focused on his duties. However, after a moment, he acknowledged Victor with a slight nod. "Training and dedication," he replied simply, his voice calm and measured. Victor smiled, recognizing something familiar in Marcus's tone. "You know, my friend, strength comes in many forms. I show mine in the ring, but you show yours every day. In service, perhaps we are not so different." The conversation was brief, but it planted a seed of mutual respect between the two men. Neither realized that before the day was over, they would be locked in an extraordinary test of strength that would surprise everyone who witnessed it. The afternoon brought unexpected drama when the Queen arrived to watch the wrestling demonstrations. She moved gracefully through the courtyard, greeting the athletes and expressing genuine interest in their charitable cause. Her presence commanded respect from everyone present, including Victor, who bowed deeply when introduced. "Your Majesty," Victor said with surprising gentleness, "it is an honor to perform for such a noble cause in your presence." The Queen smiled warmly. "The honor is ours, Mr. Petrov. Your generosity in supporting our children's hospitals is truly commendable." As the wrestling exhibition began, crowds gathered around the temporary ring. Victor dominated his matches with ease, displaying incredible power as he lifted and threw opponents who weighed over 200 pounds. His signature move, a devastating bear hug followed by a thunderous body slam, left spectators gasping in amazement. Marcus remained at his post, but found himself drawn to the spectacle. He had studied various forms of combat during his military training, but wrestling had never been his specialty. Still, he could appreciate the technical skill and raw power Victor displayed. There was an art to the way the big man controlled his opponents, using leverage and timing as much as brute strength. During one particularly impressive demonstration, Victor noticed Marcus watching. Their eyes met across the courtyard, and Victor flashed a knowing grin. He was enjoying the attention from the disciplined guard who rarely showed emotion. After his final scheduled match, Victor approached the Queen to thank her for attending. "Your Majesty, this has been a wonderful day. Is there anything special you would like to see before we conclude?" The Queen glanced toward Marcus, then back at Victor, with a mischievous glint in her eye. "Actually, Mr. Petrov, I have always wondered about the strength required for Royal Guard duty. Captain Thompson has served with distinction for many years. I believe he possesses remarkable physical capabilities, though we rarely see them displayed. Victor's eyebrows raised with interest. He looked toward Marcus, who maintained his professional composure despite the unexpected attention. "Perhaps," Victor said thoughtfully, "the captain would honor us with a demonstration of his own." The suggestion hung in the air like electricity. Other guards exchanged glances, knowing Marcus's competitive nature, despite his reserved exterior. The queen watched with obvious curiosity, while Victor waited respectfully for a response. Marcus felt the weight of dozens of eyes upon him. Royal protocol demanded he remain at his post, yet his queen had expressed genuine interest. After a moment of internal deliberation, he made a decision that would change everything. Marcus took a deep breath and stepped forward from his post, something he had not done during duty hours in over a decade. "Your Majesty," he said, with perfect formality, "if it would please you, I would be honored to participate." A murmur of excitement rippled through the crowd. Fellow guards looked stunned to see their unshakable captain break from routine. Victor's face lit up with genuine enthusiasm, recognizing that he was about to face someone truly special. "Excellent," the queen exclaimed, clapping her hands together. "This should be most enlightening." Victor suggested they begin with a simple test of strength rather than a full wrestling match, out of respect for Marcus's formal uniform and duties. "Perhaps arm wrestling?" he proposed. "It will show pure strength without the complexity of technique." Marcus nodded agreement, though internally he wondered what he had gotten himself into. Victor's arms were icily twice the circumference of his own. The wrestler's reputation for crushing handshakes was legendary among the palace. Staff. A sturdy wooden table was quickly brought forward, and both men took their positions. Victor rolled up his colorful sleeve, revealing an arm that looked like it belonged on a marble statue. Marcus simply loosened his white gloves slightly, maintaining his dignified appearance. "Whenever you are ready, Captain," Victor said with respect, offering his massive hand. As their hands clasped together, the difference in size was immediately apparent. Victor's fingers completely engulfed Marcus's, and the wrestler's wrist was nearly twice as thick. The spectators whispered among themselves, many assuming this would be over quickly. But something unexpected happened the moment their grips locked. Marcus's hand, though smaller, felt incredibly solid and immovable. Victor, accustomed to intimidating opponents with his initial grip, found himself genuinely surprised by the guard's unwavering strength. "Interesting," Victor murmured, his competitive instincts fully awakened. "You're stronger than you appear, my friend." Marcus said nothing, but his eyes showed the focused intensity that had carried him through years of military service. He understood that raw power alone wouldn't be enough against Victor's massive advantage. He would need to rely on technique, endurance, and mental toughness. The queen called for the match to begin, and both men engaged their full strength for the first time. The battle that followed would exceed everyone's expectations and reveal truths about strength that nobody had anticipated. The moment the queen signaled the start, Victor applied tremendous pressure, expecting to end the contest quickly. His muscles bulged as he channeled the strength that had made him a champion. The crowd held its breath, anticipating Marcus's inevitable defeat. But Marcus's arm didn't budge, not even slightly. Victor's confident expression shifted to one of genuine surprise. He increased his effort, veins standing out on his forehead as he strained against the immovable royal guard. Still, Marcus's position remained perfectly steady, his breathing calm and controlled. "Impossible," whispered one of the other wrestlers, watching in disbelief as their champion struggled against a man half his size. Minutes passed, and neither man's arm had moved more than an inch from the starting position. Victor was now exerting maximum force, his face red with effort, sweat beginning to form on his brow. Meanwhile, Marcus appeared almost serene, as if this tremendous exertion was simply another part of his daily routine. The queen leaned forward with fascination. "Remarkable," she murmured to her aide. 15 years of standing perfectly still has created strength beyond measure. Victor began to realize he was facing something entirely unique. This wasn't just physical power he was fighting against, but years of mental discipline and unwavering determination. Every day that Marcus had stood at his post, enduring heat, cold, rain, and fatigue without moving, had forged him into something extraordinary. You are full of surprises, Captain. Victor grunted through his exertion, beginning to smile despite his struggle. For the first time in years, he was facing an opponent who truly challenged him. Marcus finally spoke, his voice still steady despite the enormous strain. Discipline builds strength that most people never discover, Mr. Petrov. The crowd had grown, completely silent, mesmerized by the battle of wills playing out before them. Other palace guards watched their captain with new respect, realizing they had worked alongside someone whose capabilities they had never fully understood as the contest entered its 10th minute with no clear advantage to either man. Victor began to employ different tactics. He shifted his angle, adjusted his grip, and varied his pressure, using every technique he had learned in decades of competition, but Marcus adapted to each change with the patience of someone accustomed to facing any challenge with steady resolve. His military training had taught him to remain calm under pressure, to endure discomfort, and to never give up regardless of the odds. The true surprise was yet to come, as both men discovered reserves of strength they didn't know they possessed. After 15 minutes of intense struggle, something remarkable began to happen. Victor, despite his massive physical advantage, started to show signs of fatigue. His explosive power, perfect for quick wrestling matches, wasn't designed for prolonged endurance contests. His breathing became labored, and small tremors appeared in his mighty arm. Marcus, however, seemed to grow stronger as time passed. His years of standing motionless for hours at a time had developed an almost supernatural ability to maintain effort without tiring. While Victor's energy peaked and began to decline, Marcus's strength remained constant, like a river that flows steadily, without ever running dry. The crowd began to murmur with amazement as they witnessed the impossible. The mighty Victor, who had easily defeated every challenger that day, was being matched by a royal guard who appeared to be drawing strength from some inexhaustible source. "How is this possible?" whispered one spectator to another.
Ah!
The size. Victor himself was beginning to understand what he was facing. This wasn't just about muscle mass or natural strength. Marcus represented something far more rare and valuable, the power that comes from absolute dedication and unwavering commitment to excellence. "Captain," Victor said with growing admiration, "I have competed against the strongest men in the world, but I have never encountered anything like this." Marcus nodded respectfully, still maintaining his steady pressure. "Every challenge teaches us something new about ourselves, Mr. Petrov." As the 20th minute approached, Victor made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. Rather than continuing to strain against this immovable force, he began to ease his pressure slightly, not in defeat, but in recognition of something greater than victory. "Your Majesty," Victor called out, his voice filled with genuine awe, "I believe we are witnessing something extraordinary. Captain Thompson possesses a strength that cannot be measured in conventional terms." The Queen nodded with deep satisfaction. She had suspected for years that Marcus was exceptional, but even she hadn't anticipated this level of capability. Victor looked directly at Marcus with newfound respect. "My friend, I have learned more about true strength in these 20 minutes than in 20 years of competition. Would you honor me by calling this contest a draw between equals?" The suggestion surprised many in the crowd who expected competitions to have clear winners and losers, but those who understood the deeper meaning of what they had witnessed recognized the wisdom in Victor's words. Marcus considered the proposal carefully. He could continue indefinitely, but he recognized that Victor had shown tremendous character in acknowledging a different kind of victory. The real triumph wasn't about defeating an opponent, but about discovering the extraordinary potential that lies within dedication and discipline. Marcus released his grip and extended his hand in friendship to Victor, who accepted it with genuine warmth. The crowd erupted in applause, not for a victory, but for witnessing something far more valuable. The meeting of two different forms of greatness and the mutual respect that followed. "It would be my honor to call this a draw," Marcus said with quiet dignity. "You have shown me that true champions recognize strength in all its forms." Victor stood and embraced Marcus in the traditional wrestler's gesture of respect. "Have shown me that the greatest strength often hides in plain sight, requiring only the right moment to reveal itself." The Queen approached both men with obvious pride. "Gentlemen, You have given us all a lesson that extends far beyond physical strength. Captain Thompson, your years of faithful service have prepared you for challenges none of us imagined. Mr. Petrov, your recognition of different types of excellence shows the wisdom that makes true champions. Word of the incredible contest spread quickly throughout the palace and beyond. Palace staff who had worked alongside Marcus for years looked at him with new understanding. The quiet, disciplined guard they had known possessed capabilities that defied explanation. Victor spent the remainder of his visit learning from Marcus about discipline and mental strength. In return, he taught the captain techniques for channeling power more efficiently. Their brief competition had blossomed into an unlikely but meaningful friendship. Before departing, Victor made a public statement that would be remembered long. After he left, "I came here today thinking I understood strength," he told the gathered crowd. "I leave knowing that true power comes not from muscles alone, but from the dedication to excellence in everything we do. Captain Thompson has reminded me that heroes often wear ordinary uniforms and perform quiet service that goes unnoticed until the moment when extraordinary circumstances reveal their true nature." Marcus returned to his post, resuming his familiar stance at the palace gates. But something had changed for everyone who witnessed that day's events. They now understood that the man standing guard possessed something far beyond physical strength. He embodied the power of unwavering commitment and disciplined excellence years later. When people spoke of the greatest display of strength they had ever witnessed, they didn't describe crushing victories or spectacular defeats. Instead, they remembered the day when a royal guard and a champion wrestler discovered that true strength comes in many forms, and that the most powerful forces are often those that remain hidden until the perfect moment calls them forth. Friendship between Marcus and Victor endured long after that remarkable afternoon, serving as a reminder that greatness recognizes greatness, regardless of the form it takes. Their story became legendary within the palace walls, inspiring others to look beyond appearances and recognize the extraordinary potential that exists within disciplined dedication to one's duties.